Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I successfully bonded my two rabbits. So as you can probably see behind me, my two rabbits are currently bonded and living together in their pen. So it's been about 3 or 4 weeks since I first started the bonding, and I'm just gonna sort of take you all through what I did and how it was successful. I am so happy that they bonded and that they're getting along. I was very nervous initially going into this bonding that it wasn't maybe gonna go so smoothly or it wasn't gonna work out the way I wanted. And honestly, it had some ups and downs, but overall it was much better than I could have even ever hoped for. So I don't know if that's due to me or due to them. Either way, I am not complaining. I originally tried to bond these two rabbits in a trio group. So I had a pair, and then I had a single bunny, and then one of the bunnies from my pair, Coda, unfortunately passed away. So then I just had 2 single bunnies. So in the original trio bond, these 2 bunnies did not get along. They were actually the ones kind of causing all the trouble and the ones doing most of the chasing, the nipping, the biting, the fur pulling, all of that. And now I was left to bond the 2 that didn't get along when I tried to bond the whole group. So I was just a little bit hesitant off the start, and I didn't really have the highest hopes, and I've been dreading it and putting it off. And finally I was like, you know what? I've just got to do this. I've just got to give it a stab, take a shot, and just see how it goes. Honestly, that mentality I feel like really helped me with the bond. I didn't put a whole lot of stress into like, oh my gosh, what if it doesn't work? And I didn't really try not to let myself get worked up. I just kind of did it out of the blue. One night I was just sitting around. I was like, you know what? I'm going to bond my rabbits. I'm just going to do it. And that like impulsivity, I think actually helped me be calmer about it and not get so worked up. And I'm hoping that that sort of is part of what helped it along. I know that a lot of times during bondings, the animals you're bonding can read your emotions as well. So if you're super anxious, super on edge, I've heard that can affect, you know, them being calm and them trying to get along. And as an anxious person, it's always been very hard for me to stay calm during bondings. But this time, I don't know, I was just like, I'm so over it. I'm gonna put them together, and if they get along, that is up to them. Like, I just kind of took like a very hands-off approach, both emotionally and like actually in the bond. I decided to start their bond, of course, in a neutral space. So I bonded my bunnies in my living room. Previously, they had been living here in this room behind me in 2 separate pens, side by side, for a couple of months. I want to say at least one of my rabbits had needed surgery, so we had to deal with all of that and the recovery. So they were side by side for a very long time, and I do think it's possible that this helped the bonding along. You know, they were already used to each other's scents, and it wasn't like super shocking to them. I don't think the side by side was a make or break, but I do think it maybe ended up benefiting them in the long run. Like I said, I bonded them in a neutral space. I went ahead and did my living room just because it's a space that neither of them have ever really been in before. So I thought it would be a good place to do the bonding. I did do a 16 square foot pen. So a lot of times it's recommended for bunny bonding to start super small and slowly increase the space. And I didn't think that was gonna work with their personalities. My rabbit Teddy, he is young, he's very outgoing, he is super energetic. And my other rabbit, Luna, is older. So she is around 8 years old. She's a senior, she has arthritis. They're very completely different rabbits. And I knew that if they were going to get along, it was likely going to be a slow process. It wasn't going to be love at first sight. It wasn't love at first sight when I tried it first with my trio. And so I figured I'm going to start with a larger pen, and I'm going to let them take it at their pace. I have never seen either rabbit display territorial behaviors. Usually that's the concern. If you bond in too large a pen, you know, they could get territorial over their part of the pen and kind of defend it and, you know, like fight at this invisible barrier they've set up. But I've never seen either of them display territorial behaviors, not towards me in their space and not in previous bondings for my rabbit Luna, who I've had for a while. So I wanted to give them the bigger space. I wanted to have them do it on their terms. I didn't want to have them crammed up beside each other, and I wanted room for Teddy to at least move around a little bit. He couldn't really run in the 16 square foot pen, but I mean, at least he could move around. He's so active. Cramping him up, I think, would have made him agitated. So I started with 16 square feet. I also started with litter boxes, which is something else people normally don't recommend, again, because they can get territorial over the litter boxes. Honestly, I didn't want to deal with the mess of the pee and the poo all over the ground, all over the fleece, and not in a litter box. And also, again, I'd never seen them display territorial behaviors, and I did do 2 litter boxes. So I didn't want to force them to share a litter box, and I didn't want to force them to go without a litter box. And so I just did 2 litter boxes in the bonding pen. I did put them side by side so that they would be forced to eat near each other. I thought if they were separate, then maybe that would lead to the territorialness if they each had a litter box on separate ends of the pen. So I put them side by side. And I actually think this greatly benefited the bond. So honestly, the first night I started around 6 p.m. and I watched them until midnight when I went to bed. And I didn't see very many negative behaviors. There was humping, of course, as to be expected. Teddy did most of the humping, so he was the mounter. And Luna, my elderly senior rabbit, was the Mountie. Or is that the Mountie and the Mounter? I don't know. But I felt bad for her. She, like I said, she has arthritis, so she couldn't necessarily like get away from him very quickly. And the litter boxes actually kind of provided a barrier for this. So because I had a litter box, as he was trying to chase her and hump her and like follow her along, she could slip away and get into the litter box, or slip out of the litter box and get back onto the floor. And that sort of like broke up his behavior. It was almost like a natural kind of way for him to like be pulled out of it, instead of the obsessive like circling and chasing and humping. It would kind of pull him out of it, and he would stop and take a break. So I think the litter box actually really benefited that. It kind of gave them a natural way to stop their cycle. But overall, honestly, no major concerns my first night of bonding. The first 6 hours, I would say they mostly ignored each other. They ate, they asked each other to groom. They both refused. Neither of them would give in and groom the other. I wasn't expecting it. Like I said, I was hoping for coexistence. That was really my main goal. I didn't expect them to love each other. I just wanted them to tolerate each other. And that was basically what I got the first night. They were tolerating. They had one minor scuffle. I don't even think I caught it on camera, where they basically were just chasing, like circling each other. And they just circled for a bit, nipped, pulled fur, and then it stopped. And they kind of sorted some stuff out with that. I think Luna, she's so used to having a partner, and after losing Coda, she'd been alone for quite a few months, and I'm wondering if maybe that just led her to kind of give in to him. Like, he wanted to be more dominant. He wanted to be, you know, humping her. He wanted to be the one kind of in charge. And normally Luna would not put up with that. Like, normally that is not her thing. Like, she wants to be the one in charge. But I think because she had been missing a friend for some time, I think she gave into it. Honestly, I think she just didn't fight back as much as she had the first time around when I tried to bond in the trio. And that's great. That's what I was hoping from her. She gave in, and honestly, it went really, really well the first day. I did sleep outside the pen in my living room on the couch. I just slept literally right beside the pen, so that if there were any serious scuffles, I would hopefully wake up and hear them. I didn't hear anything. I slept straight through the night. I woke up and they were just laying there chilling. I used a lot of pellets and veggies throughout the bonding, so whenever things would get a little bit tense, or there was like non-stop humping and I needed to break it up, I would just toss in some pellets, toss in some veggies, and that would kind of disperse that energy. I only had to kind of push him off of her, I would say once or twice. I think they just kind of took it slow and took it at their own pace. I think if I had gone the traditional route, small pen, no litter box, cramped them up close together, I don't think I would have had the same results. I think they needed this bigger space, and they needed those litter boxes as kind of a separation so they could feel like they could get some time away from each other. I know that doesn't work for every pair. I don't know if it would have worked for some of my pairs in the past, but I will say it worked for this pair. I kept them in that 16 square foot pen for almost 3 full days. So basically the exact same pen for 3 days. I didn't change a thing, just 2 litter boxes, empty pen. I did do a lot of toys, which again, not something you normally do during bonding. You don't normally just throw toys in, but Teddy is crazy. Like, he is absolutely crazy, and he needed something to entertain himself. And I was worried that if he was bored and just like left to his own devices, he would just take out some of that frustration and that energy on Luna, and she wouldn't put up with that. She's old. She doesn't want all that. So I just kept tossing toys in there. I just kept giving him new toys. I gave them brown paper to shred up. I just kept putting stuff in their pen to keep them busy. I wanted them to just be in their own worlds, doing their own thing, but with each other. And so that over time they could get closer, and that worked. Like, giving them the space and giving them other things to do besides pay attention to each other ended up benefiting them in the long run. After about 3 days, I moved them into this pen, which you can see behind me. I don't know how many square feet it is. It's definitely, I don't know. I feel like it's maybe like 25 or so. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly how many square feet this pen is, but it's bigger than their 16 square feet. And so I gave them that size increase about 3 days in, and I also moved them back into this room, which is no longer a neutral area. I did deep clean the room. I like scrubbed all the floors. I scrubbed all the baseboards. I went absolutely nuts in here, just like completely cleaning everything. But it is the same room, and I knew they would recognize it as the same room. So that's why I waited 3 days before moving them back into a familiar space. I wanted to wait till things had settled down in the bonding pen, and that I wasn't really seeing a lot of nipping. I did see quite a bit of fur pulling, I will say, throughout the bonding process, but also my rabbits are molting really, really bad right now. So I think a lot of it was just loose fur. Like I can just pluck chunks of fur out of them right now. They're molting so much. So I think a lot of the bonding fur that was flying around was just because it's loose and it got lightly pulled on. Like I didn't see any serious nips. I didn't see any like actual open skin. I think fur was just flying literally because they're molting so much and because they were just running and moving around and, you know, getting used to each other. But once I moved them back into this room, into this pen, something really interesting happened in which Luna started to hump Teddy back. So now they were taking turns mounting each other. And so I waited before putting a hide in there. I wanted to let this behavior pass. I tried to only make one change at a time. So this change was the increase in size and, well, I guess it was two changes. The increase in size and the new room. I didn't want to also add a hide. That's just a lot of changes for them to deal with at one time. And I wanted to take the bond slow. So I waited till the humping subsided for the most part. I would say it took about maybe another 4 to 5 days for the humping to really calm down. Teddy gets really, really active in the mornings. And so in the morning after, you know, he wakes up, he goes a bit crazy for a couple hours. And that's really when he would hump her the most. And then after that, he would settle down. And after about 4 more days in this pen, I noticed he wasn't doing it as much in the mornings, if doing it at all. He had really kind of cut that behavior down. So that's when I gave them their hide. And you can see they have it in there right now, just one plain cardboard box. And that worked out well for them. They started sharing the cardboard box. They started sleeping next to each other. And the introduction of the hide actually like improved their relationship. So now I see them sleep next to each other. I see them choose to lay next to each other. They have had free roam time in the room where I've let them out of their pen. They have chose to follow each other around. And even in this whole big room, they've chose to sleep or lay right next to each other. So guys, it has been a success. I have successfully bonded my rabbits. I don't know if it was me, if it was them, if it was luck. I don't know, and I don't know how useful this video is going to be for a lot of you. I didn't want to do a step-by-step guide to bonding. There's so much of that content already out there, and each rabbit is an individual. Each bond is going to be different. I did this bond different because I felt like I knew my rabbits, and I knew their personalities, and I knew what makes them tick, and I wanted to do what worked for them. So I took a different approach. I didn't do any of the car bonding, like the carrier in the car. I had considered that, but I wanted to start first just regular pen and see how it went. I honestly was expecting to maybe have the first time fail and have to try again, but the two of them, it worked. I am so grateful. They're getting along pretty well now. I think they've started grooming. It's really hard to tell if their heads are just like on top of each other or if they're actually fully grooming each other. So I'm unsure about that yet, but honestly, sleeping next to each other and cuddling is more than I ever hoped for them. I honestly thought with their personalities, they're so different. I was just hoping for them to coexist, and I have gotten more than that. So I'm so happy they're getting along. My next step is going to be expanding their pen and giving them more space in the room. I'm going to be introducing a lot of their old hides back in, so they might have some of those previous scents, but they've already done really well free roaming the room when I'm in here. Obviously, this room is familiar to them. They both lived in here in their separate pens for a really long time. So the fact that that didn't cause any issues, I hardly see any humping anymore. Like I said, it's been about 3 to 4 weeks since that first initial bonding. So I think that is a really good timeline. I am super pleased with the way their bond has come along. And as you can see, or as you may have noticed, I don't know, I'm currently kind of redoing the room behind me. So this is going to be my new bunny room / office / just like fun chill space, I suppose. So I have been working to redo this room while they've been bonding and just sort of taking it really slow. And I'm so pleased. Like, look at them. Look at them. I don't know how well you can see them, but they are so content now with each other. I mean, it's really good to see. I was scared, honestly, that they weren't gonna get along. And that's kind of why I went into the bond with like really low expectations and kind of was just like, all right, you guys figure it out, because I wasn't trying to put a whole lot of pressure on it because I didn't have high hopes, and they proved me wrong, and I'm very glad they did. So that is the update on my bunnies. Bonding was a success, and I'm going to be sharing another video very soon about this whole room redo process. So you'll see kind of the process of me building out what I have so far behind me, and then also the process of when I'll be expanding their pen and completing their final space. So thank you guys for watching. I hope this was interesting, or at least just an exciting and happy update. I'm feeling really glad that they bonded and that they are running around, and I think he's bringing out some more of Luna's adventurous side. Normally, Luna, she just kind of does her own thing. She sits in a corner. She doesn't really run around. She doesn't really explore. That's not really her thing. But I think he's bringing that out in her. I've noticed during free roam time, she is more likely to go run around different places and see new things because he is into everything. Teddy is into every single thing in this room, every nook and cranny. He will explore it. And so I think it's kind of bringing Luna out of her shell a little bit. And I think it's really good for her being, you know, an older senior bunny to have someone younger who is encouraging her to, you know, keep active, keep moving, keep exploring. I didn't expect that to happen, honestly. I thought he was going to go nuts and she was just going to lay around and watch him. And sometimes that's the case, but sometimes, you know, she explores with him. And so I think it's been really good for her. I just think after losing Coda, that was really a big, like, I want to say letdown is not the right word, but it was like a big moment for me. I was really sad after the loss of Coda, and because I really wanted my trio. I was really hoping to have a trio, and Coda was so young. You know, I thought I was going to have another 6, 8, 10 years with him. I don't know. But unfortunately, you know, that was not the case. And so I felt bummed going into the bonding with just the two of them. I was hoping for my trio. It didn't feel right, you know, without Coda. But now that I see the two of them, obviously I still miss him a lot, but it makes me happy to know they have each other and that it didn't fail like I was worried it was going to. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm so happy for them. I'm excited to share more with you guys. So please like if you enjoyed, subscribe to see my new room video coming soon, and of course lots of other videos about my pets. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye.